It's great to see you. Thanks very much for being here this morning. What do you make of these new travel restrictions and the requirement of additional testing?
Well, it's good to see you as well, Maria. And, you know, this is what I make of it. It's in the category of what should we do for 400, the White House continues to pick every answer but the right one. And, you know, meanwhile, on the southern border, you have over 2 million people who've come in with absolutely no concern for their COVID status. And you're going to make travelers who have done what we've asked them to do, who are vaccinated, you're going to make them either wait or show additional proof or impose onerous restrictions that really don't help at all. I mean, we're talking about a scale of several million, 2.1 million people at the southern border compared to a couple hundred people on these flights. And if we remember, the Trump administration, when they imposed the travel bans very early on in the pandemic with China, were called neophytes and other words that really highlighted the hypocrisy of what the left views as the right way to deal with this pandemic.
Congressman, I want to know what you're doing about this wide open border. I mean, Joe Biden continues to ignore the fact that you just nailed it. 2 million people were apprehended year to date. Joe Biden is not doing anything about it. I actually had a long call yesterday with a sheriff source of mine, as well as the head of the Border Patrol Union. And Brandon Judd told me that we are up to 600,000 gotaways year to date. So 2 million people have already been apprehended. 600,000 people on top of that have already gotten away and are in the country. He told me that in Houston alone, 400,000 new people are in Houston. And it is just an incredible scene. It is a hub for fraudulent documents. People are making fraudulent documents everywhere because there's so much demand to fake papers because they're all illegal. What can you do as a Texas congressman about this?
Well, you're absolutely right. And it's people like Brandon Judd who are getting that message out and who are telling the truth where the administration will not. I mean, you think about it, 2.1 million people, that is almost 1% of our entire U.S. population. And what we have done, the Biden administration has incentivized illegal behavior in every area. And you just said it perfectly. 400,000 additional people in Houston. What we are doing is continuing to do everything we can to get the information out about how many known or suspected terrorists have entered this country, how many people are illegally entering the country. I've introduced multiple pieces of legislation to try to block what the administration has done. And of course, we don't see a single vote on the Democrat side in favor of actually upholding the laws. We don't need new laws. We just need to uphold the laws that we have.
Well, this is just extraordinary. This is the most lawless administration I have ever seen, and our adversaries across the world know it. Ukraine is now calling on NATO to prepare economic sanctions on Russia and further boost military cooperation as it's facing a threat of invasion. Russian President Vladimir Putin is warning NATO that deploying any troops and weapons in Ukraine is a red line for Moscow and would prompt a strong response, Congressman. So Putin is taking a page out of Xi Jinping's book and trying to make the world think we better not say a word as Russia gets set to invade Ukraine, the way China says we better not say a word if China goes into Taiwan.
Well, this is what happens when you have a botched withdrawal that is the most shameful exercise in foreign policy, in taking care of our troops, as what we saw in Afghanistan. And I've said this on your show before, we warned that this is exactly what was going to happen, that our adversaries were watching, and now we see that they are. I was actually in NATO in 2014 when the Ukraine was invaded, when Russia took the Crimea, and now we're seeing the exact same pattern where Putin is going to test the waters because he doesn't think that American resolve is there. We have got to demonstrate strength, and you're right, this is a lawless administration, and they can't even uphold the laws at home, much less the world order that we've worked so hard since World War II to make sure that we can help our allies and partners around the world. And unfortunately, the Ukraine is now going to have to potentially pay the price for a lot of that the negative implications that we've seen from this administration's foreign policy.
Well, there's a crisis after crisis after crisis. Congressman, we are about to talk about spiking inflation, which American families are feeling. We'll get into that coming up, but it is good to talk with you this morning about all of these other issues. Congressman August Pfluger, thank you, sir.